Politician after politician take turns to speak glowingly about the author and his achievements in office, even though his government received knocks from some quarters for a high level of corruption and insecurity in the country, particularly in the Northeast.
And let me also congratulate you for this book. Though you've titled it My Transition Hours, I would like to say, not only is it your transition hours, your finest hours, Nigeria's finest hours, and Africa's continent's finest hours. We celebrate what you've done, not only for your family, for the continent, for the country, but as you celebrate it, as we all read the book, we all learn lessons from the book. And the lessons we will learn is that you have taken our democracy to a certain level, and we must not ever let it go down beyond that level. You have taken how a president works in a democratic process. We must also make sure that we also ensure that we do that. Mr. President, for all those who have not read the book, who are going to read the book, the only thing we can take is that the spirit of the book is what we should all ensure that we're entrenched in this country. The spirit of the book is to say that no blood of any individual Nigerian is worth anybody's ambition. So for all who are here, and for all of us who are not here, let us remember that as we go into 2019. President Jonathan has done his, and we should all live by those standards. I congratulate you, sir, and I'm sure we will ensure that that standard you set will not go below it. Instead, we'll go rather up.
I remember in the process of this book was to be unveiled or presented before the primaries, our own party primaries. But because President Jonathan wanted me to partake in this event, he wisely said, let us put this event after the primaries. Because the role I want you to play, if you play that role, they will say, I am endorsing you. So we decided to defer the presentation of this book. But all the same, I can tell you President Jonathan voted for me. His action or his reaction in the 2015 elections, as has been said here, helped to consolidate our democracy. But for that singular action, only God knows where I would have been today.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is the chairman of the occasion. He was also a critic of the Jonathan's administration. He, however, admires the simplicity of the author and would rather urge the former president to continue upholding the tenets of democracy.
Making me the chair of this occasion, I don't know why you did it, but for doing it, I thank you. Mr. President Jonathan, if you have launched this book 3 years ago, you wouldn't have mustered the crowd that you have mustered today. That is obvious. So, now, the post-office life, which you are now enjoying, is a life that we should all crave for. And my brothers from West Africa, and yourself, and of course myself, we are enjoying that life. It's a life not only of enjoyment, but a life of continued service to the community. All is said and done. There's still no substitute for democracy. It fosters peace and not conflict and violence. It does. It builds and does not destroy. It does. It unifies rather than divide. It does. But all these can only happen if democracy is found as an instrument in the hands of Democrats. If it is in the hand of those that I call hips, hooligans in politics, it can be a dangerous weapon. So we must avoid hooligans to have access to this beautiful weapon because they can abuse it and misuse it.
Advise you to read particular chapters. So the books are here.
The over 200-page book with 12 chapters is unveiled. The book author gives an insight into his inspiration to write.
Tradition is that when you leave office, you write about your biography. Maybe you can write a second volume if God gives you a little more life. But it's not my biography. There are definitely some statements about my beginning, primary school, secondary school. You must, of course, a journey started somewhere. And also my activities in government. I just wanted to make a brief contribution of core things about the elections. Because whenever I travel out, people ask me, even Nigerians, especially from the diaspora, even some of us back home, they just ask me, why did you concede the vote? Why did you make that phone call? Why didn't you go to court? The book centered mainly on the elections. But I deviated to mention certain few things, especially certain negative things. Because the life of a government is like the life of an individual. There are some areas that are positive. You also meet certain things that are negative. There are certain issues in the government that were used against me during the election. The issue of Boko Haram and Chibok girls. In fact, some people even said that I brought Boko Haram to reduce the voting population of the North so that I will win elections. So I commented on the Chibok girls. Also the fuel subsidy that was really used by of course, politicians must exploit opportunities. So I don't blame them, even if maybe it's myself, probably I will do the same thing. But I needed to explain certain things why we took that decision. The issues of corruption. Needing young Nigerians to understand the problem of corruption, where it started, or if anybody knows, and where it will go. But I've made some suggestions to encourage future governments, if you are to tackle corruption, how we should all go about it. It's a problem that all of us must face. Of course, maybe I use the opportunity to maybe make a little suggestion also in terms of our elections, because the issue of vote buying is becoming scandalous in Nigeria. We know that there is this concept of inducing the electorate, which most countries control. For all the countries have gone to observe elections, ordinary inducement of the electorate is criminalized, and people don't do it. But here in Nigeria, we take inducing electorate as a part of the electoral process. What I mean by inducing the electorate is that during campaigns, we baggage rice, salt, with the photograph of the candidates, the logo of the parties, and distribute to people. That is wrong by all international standards. I did not know until I got involved in observing election. But those are still being considered as not serious offenses. You are inducing electorate. In most other African countries, in fact, all the African countries have gone to observe elections. Even in that rally, nobody will give you a pen with the candidate's name on it. All what the candidates and their parties will do is the T-shirts, face caps for young boys and young girls, and the flags of the party and the banners and flyers. Nobody give you any gift. But in Nigeria, if you don't provide gifts, it's like you have not started. But this is not the generation that started it. As a child, I watched those early elections, late 58, 59, late 60s. People were doing that. We were going to our villages to give salt to women and all those kind of things. And we just graduated from that, inducing the electorate, to the outright pricing and buying of votes. That people will go to the polling booth and price 1,000, 2,000, 3,000. In some cases, they are even telling me 5,000 to buy votes. I think the INEC must do everything to stop that. My suggestion is that we should really look at the way we build our polling booths. I think we should begin to do like some other African countries. All the African countries have gone to observe election. Nobody built polling booths. They have polling centers, public buildings, especially schools, and use the classrooms. So one school will have so many polling units. And it's easier for the police to police these polling units together. And it's difficult for somebody who is in the classroom to show you the ballot paper. Because you cannot pay somebody until you have access to see his ballot paper. So if you design the electoral process in a way that you cannot see the ballot paper, then the issue of outright vote buying will die. The inducement may continue. You will still distribute rice and so on, but at least that is a milder offense. Maybe that is the only suggestion I would make, that I believe that I next to look into it.
Nigerians again head to the poll in 2019. All eyes will be on how the loser will concede victory